Hi everybody, David Dilling from Markzware. Today we're going to show you our new version of FlightCheck version 6.80. The new FlightCheck will not only pre-flight and package Adobe InDesign and Quark Express, but also Adobe Illustrator and Photoshop and even the PDF files. So there's a way to also get a good, solid quality assurance check on your Illustrator and Photoshop files as well, which is very important. For the pre-flight process can never begin early enough. The sooner you begin the pre-flight, the less chance of costly errors further up or down the workflow, depending on how you look at it. So let's go check out this detailed demonstration of FlightCheck version 6.80. FlightCheck is the standalone application for prepress or repro operators, printers, publishers, and graphic designers alike. Once you launch FlightCheck 6.80, you'll notice up top in the menu item area, notice something we call the FlightCheck Flight Strip. In this piece of property, you'll find many useful icons to help you with shortcuts to very important parts or features and functions within FlightCheck. We'll begin there with the ground controls, the heart of FlightCheck. With a little bit of help and time and effort, you'll gain maximum return on investment from your FlightCheck by setting up these ground controls correctly. By doing so, you'll ensure that you'll stop all prepress problems from leaving or coming into your graphic arts or print media shop. We're not going to go over what all of these ground controls do and mean at this time. I'll link to another YouTube playlist down below where you can get a detailed tutorial on how to set up and use the ground controls effectively. However, out of the box it comes with a default set, which is very useful and helpful, including many other presets for PDF and source files like Illustrator, InDesign, Quark, alike. The ground controls include settings for your file, pages, page setup, print, colors, trapping, transparencies, overlapping, fonts, typefaces, and your images or graphics used within the file. As you can see, there's quite some detail you can check on. The FlightCheck ground controls can be locked or unlocked by clicking here. They can also be password protected. Now you can go into any of the sections we just went over, and I'll cruise on into colors here, and you can see the various checks available. If we click once, for instance here by hairlines, we get one single dot. That is a warning, will be blue in the interface. If we click twice, we'll get a bigger dot. That is an error and will be red in the interface if flagged as such. Of course, green means it's okay. So these checks you can go in and check for whatever is important for your workflow. A hairline is a line which, in this case, is less than 0.25 points. Another important check here is the CMYK too high on the page. Very handy check, especially for newspaper publishers. Let me now briefly show you how you can set up a new set of ground controls for your workflow. You go under the Set option within the ground controls and you select New Set. You then give that set a name. Let's call it Test for Demo, and you click OK. You then go into Test for Demo Set and you choose Turn All Off. You now see that all checks have been turned off. Now you can go in with the feedback from your fellow graphic designers or prepress operators in your workflow, coordinate with your printer or prepress department to help set up these checks. There are ways to both import as well as export the ground controls you've created. A general rule of thumb, though, is if you're not sure what it's checking for at this stage, whether it's too technical or you've just never heard of it, don't check for it. Only check for the things that you know are causing problems. So just go through and start checking for what you want to be warned about. For now, we'll go back to the default set, which is quite a good basis to start with. Checks for the most common problems. Please note that these checks are for your native or open files, such as Adobe Illustrator, Photoshop, InDesign, Quark Express. FlightCheck can also check the PDF file. Under the pre-flight mode, which is available in various languages, you can see we have a non-PDF with the open files and a PDF set. If we switch the pre-flight mode to PDF, you'll see that our ground controls will actually change. And they switch to the last set of checks I had for my PDF files. It's best to start pre-flighting, of course, as early as possible in the workflow. Various studies have shown how the pre-flight process starting at the design stage will save tremendous amounts of money in your workflow and thus time, and save headaches or stop headaches as well. However, checking the resulting PDF is also important, and FlightCheck will do that as well. As you can see, the checks are different because with a PDF there's various standards and validation checks that need to be done, which FlightCheck will also do for you. Okay, let's go back and change our settings back to the open file format checks for InDesign, Quark, Illustrator, etc. I should also note there is a feature under the Preferences section of FlightCheck which allows you to instill an auto pre-flight detection, which means it'll automatically switch the ground controls from PDF to open depending on the type of file. So if you drop a PDF, it'll grab the PDF set of checks. If you drop an Illustrator file, it'll get the open set of checks. Very handy in FlightCheck 6.80. Let's see how we check a file. There's various ways to start a pre-flight, including dropping a file on the flight strip or doing a file open in FlightCheck. However, my preferred method is generally grabbing the file we'd like to check, in this case an InDesign CS5 file, dragging and dropping it onto the FlightCheck icon in our dock. What you see is FlightCheck will pre-flight not only the layout InDesign file, but also all associated graphics, fonts, and used elements within the file itself. And look at that, in mere seconds we've ascertained all linked graphics and elements used in this desktop publishing file. FlightCheck is your X-ray look inside your graphical files to ensure that before you output, whether it's print or to the web or on screen, that everything will look and or print fine. By default, when FlightCheck is done with the pre-flight process, you'll get two windows, main screen and the FlightCheck Results. The FlightCheck Results is where many people start the process. Since it is the first window that shows up, it is also a great place to start your communications with other graphic designers or prepress operators in your workflow. Red are the errors and blue are the warnings. Up top we get a sort of a gauge overview where the warnings are orange, everything is okay is green, and errors are red, based on the various ground control sections we've just set up. You see, in this case, we've got a few good areas and a few bad apples. You can click Show All Items and use this results screen as a sort of way to get an inventory of what is used in the file. Everything used. We can see all images used. Good, bad, or otherwise. I'm going to turn off Show All Items so we can see just the errors or warnings. And we can even turn off warnings if we so desired. It is itemized, and we can see under fonts, for instance, corporate fonts, which is a neat FlightCheck feature where you can ask in the FlightCheck ground controls or add particular fonts that your corporation or advertising studio will not want to use for various reasons. Under each problem, for instance, here we see missing files, we get not only the location of where the file is, we see the document it's used in, as well as the exact page in the document where it's located. And that's the same for each and every problem which we find. Exactly what we need as a pre-flight operator. Down below we even get a small idea on what the problem might be in plain English. For graphic designers, illustrators and the likes, this is a perfect window and feature in FlightCheck, the FlightCheck Results. However, if you're in the publishing side or making catalogs or in the prepress side for sure at your print shop and you need total print quality assurance, then the next window is where you'll also want to check in. The FlightCheck main window. Here we get the name of the file, the application used, and we see all the sections that we have in our ground controls, which we can zero in on or tab out if so desired. Once again, red are problems and blue are warnings. I'll close off the file info, page info, and print info and concentrate just in this demo on your colors, fonts, and images. There's also a supporting section where if you used any plugins or extensions in Quark, they would show up here. Very handy. In the color section, in this case, everything is fine. However, color is a tricky one. All these icons represent various problems or potential problems. If you hover your mouse over any one, you'll see exactly what that icon, if represented, is checking for. Here we see this will tell you if a color is being used in a line. A thin line denotes a hairline. And various trapping issues and transparency and gradients and other color issues which might come into play, including, of course, RGB, CMYK, grayscale, etc. We even get the printing angle. Fonts is another vital area within your file, because these are 100% linked files or little applications on their own. You see that we have in these various columns some very useful information. If red, it'll be telling you that the screen font is missing, and this column represents the printer font, vital to have if you're going to print with this file. We can sort by not only use fonts, but all fonts. We get the name of the font, the printer font file name, if it's been stylized in any way, the type of font it is, the exact version, and the manufacturer. When we double-click on any given font, we'll get more information on that font as well, including its location, which later we'll show you in the packaging or collect feature. Images is, of course, a vital area within FlightCheck. We see here all of our images are missing, or the folder's been moved and we need to relink them. You'll see we get the type of image that's used, whether it's JPEG, TIFF, EPS, etc. In this case, we've asked JPEGs to be flagged. We even get a preview of the image and more information on exactly how that image is used, technically speaking. If any fonts were embedded in the image, we would also see here the fonts used. Extremely handy. Here you see a Quark 9 document we just pre-flighted, and in the supporting section you see the custom extensions which were used, custom bleeds and cool blends. You might need these to edit or further work with this file. You'll also notice we check the effective resolution, which is a very important check because although an image at normal size might have a perfect resolution, if you stretch that image double the size, the effective resolution will be much less than originally desired. You can even go in and edit individual images right from FlightCheck into Photoshop or into the native file InDesign in this case. Okay, so a lot of information in the main overview, and at first it might be daunting, but with the help of the icons and the online manual on Markzware.com, it's actually quite easy to get your head around this, and it will become very useful for you to use in your workflow. Alright, let's look at some other features in FlightCheck up top in the flight strip here. We've gone over the ground controls. I briefly touched on the preferences, and there's a lot more neat things in here, such as finding absolute font search paths, for instance, if you're getting jobs in other mediums, and the same for images. You can also choose to calculate image densities. This will increase the pre-flight time, but very important in newspaper publishing, for instance, or newspaper printing for that matter. We have OPI settings, print, and advanced, where we discussed earlier the auto pre-flight detection. Another very important feature for prepress operators and graphic designers alike is the page layout. To help you get total print quality control, the page layout can be used to navigate through your file, page by page, and find the various problems. For instance, here's that image which is missing. We can now even launch the document in InDesign and go right to that page to make adjustments to the file. Extremely handy, very, very useful feature within FlightCheck 6.80. You can then even recheck the document after you've made changes to make sure that it's 100% ready to output. The next feature I'm going to show you is the collect feature. This is what in the InDesign world they call packaging, or the package feature in InDesign, where FlightCheck goes several steps further. Under Collect Job or Package, you get what might not be the most beautiful screen in FlightCheck, but it has a lot of very valuable details on this particular digital file. Here we get many options to compress the job after we've collected it, and collecting it means making copies of the files, not moving the originals. We can choose the location we want to send the collected file to, and we can choose what we want to collect or package exactly. You can see we get a report, font files, even the suitcases, the images, and the document itself with a file count for this particular file. We can even see where the files are and their size. I'm going to cancel out for a moment and check an Illustrator file to show you how FlightCheck can package Adobe Illustrator files, which is a great feature in FlightCheck 6.80. Here we have an Illustrator file. Let's drop it on FlightCheck and see what we have. You'll see immediately we have some issues like effective resolution out of range, which might need fixing before we actually package this file up. You see here, these are low-res images that have been used, and very dangerous to print like this, for the quality will almost certainly be not what we expected. You also see a very good feature in FlightCheck. One of the images is using a font inside of it, and if I hover over, I can see which fonts are even used. So this is also dangerous because if any of these fonts are missing or not converted to outlines, it can also cause problems at the RIP stage at the print shop. Pre-flight issues aside, if we go to Collect or Package, just like in InDesign, we can also do that in FlightCheck. We can collect or package the Adobe Illustrator file. This is not offered natively within Adobe Creative Suite CS5.5 or lower. You cannot package Illustrator files. With FlightCheck you can, and the same applies to Photoshop documents as well. You can collect up this entire job, compress it even, and have all of your fonts, artwork, or graphics used in one folder. It's that easy. What you get is a copy of the file you just were working on, and an images and a fonts folder with your pre-flight report. In images, we'll get all the images that were collectible, and in fonts, the same thing, all fonts which were collectible. Very handy for archiving or for passing on to the next person in the workflow, graphic designer or prepress operator. The next designer must have licensed these fonts in order to legally use them. After packaging, FlightCheck will even give it a approved or not approved icon on the compressed file. In this case, you see we get an X saying, watch out, the next party in the workflow will know to check this file out extra carefully, hopefully with FlightCheck themselves. One last tip before we end this overview demonstration, and of course there's much more detail we can get into on pre-flight, FlightCheck, and total print quality control. However, you can do many things with FlightCheck. For instance, batch pre-flight a bunch of images. We have another video on that which I'll link to. And also, for instance, for packaging can be useful, or for a book, you can add another file. So for instance, we can then add another file, open that in FlightCheck, and then we get two sets of files open. The Photoshop file and this InDesign file we just checked. So you see, this is a great feature, particularly for book files, where you might have tons of books, either in Quark Express or in InDesign file format. So that's a great feature in FlightCheck and way to check multiple files like a book, which might need to be checked together or packaged together, like we just showed you via the Collect feature in FlightCheck. For more information on FlightCheck, cruise on over to www.markzware.com. There, under the Products section, you can choose FlightCheck, or check out our current news. There will be a playlist of FlightCheck with many more videos and tutorials. You can download the 30-day demonstration version, the 30-day free trial right here. It's real simple and easy. As a review, FlightCheck will pre-flight Acrobat PDF and non-PDF files like Illustrator, Photoshop, Adobe InDesign, and Quark Express. The native applications I did not mention are not required. You don't need InDesign or Creative Suite or Quark even on your system. FlightCheck is your total prepress application used to manage print quality control. It is backed by the Markzware Preflight patent, United States patent number 5,963,641. The FlightCheck Preflight report will give a complete print job analysis, highlighting digital print errors item by item, including wrong document size, missing fonts, incorrect colors, spot color transparency, incorrect image resolution, and much, much more. Thank you once again for your well-spent time learning more about FlightCheck version 6.80 for Macintosh. FlightCheck is your total prepress quality assurance application to help you ensure that your designs will output correctly. This is David Dilling from Markzware, and signing off for now.